I think people experience these traumas and they have an association to something, right? Throw this out here a lot is we spend a lot of time creating labels for things. And sometimes those labels can be, I think, debilitating and they lead into other things.
Okay, so what's your fear? Your phobia?
Well, I've been talking this entire time. Wouldn't you want to go first?
Okay, sure. I'll go first.
And I remember this so vividly because I remember actually probably the conversation that we had. That was this moment. That was a breakthrough.
Are you afraid of something? Aren't we all? So we are here today with the Munch Corner podcast. I am your host, Savannah, and your other host is Omar, my wonderful husband.
Yes, and we are here
because we all have phobias,
We all
right?
have phobias.
Who does not have a phobia? I've never met someone that doesn't. Someone is always fearful of something.
We wonder why, but I think we all can share that we do have very phobias, very big ones sometimes.
Yes, so it's a safe space. So if you stick around, we're going to share our personal ones. All right, so we have 12 that we're covering.
We have 12 they're covering. And as we get started, I just want to say, even though we are bringing them to you, they may seem a little bit strange and sometimes a little bit hilarious.
We picked out unusual ones,
We picked some very unusual ones. But I do want to say, even though we are smiling and we're doing all this, we realize it's very real for the people who actually have it.
Of course. So, these are, it's just something to look at. And, these are probably things we didn't even know existed.
I would honestly have to agree.
There's some rarities in here. So, we all respect each other. We all have a fear, and it's a valid fear.
Absolutely.
But we are just discussing here together nonetheless. So we have our rooibos tea. I did sacrifice a little bit to my son. It was a very happy sacrifice.
And I do notice that this is probably a phobia we're not covering, but the fear of two different types of cups.
I think we'll be okay.
I think we'll have those. Will be probably all right. I think overall.
Okay. So, all right. We have a microphone on the loose. Okay.
We have a microphone on the loose, but we are not afraid of it.
Okay, great.
So we've given these titles, and again, they're just meant so that we can smile a little bit. And also keep in mind, we do realize that these are very real phobias for people.
Please do respect other people's phobias.
I think if you have them and you want to share them and maybe some funny stories that you've run into, even though they can be scary, then please do. We would love to hear from you. And again, we will share our own. And I think share a little bit of how this really does affect everybody's lives in some way. So let's jump into it.
What's number one? What did you pick?
So these come from a really wonderful article called The Recovery Village. So just giving credit where it came from. And the first one we've titled The Scary Nut. So this one is, and I'll preface it. Savannah and I are not fantastic pronouncers of these very complicated psychological words.
In order to entertain you guys further, we were not going to look up pronouncing these. So you have firsthand how we're going to pronounce these things.
I'm going to jump right in. I'll take my first dive.
Okay.
Say the line, Bart. I didn't do it. Yay!
So this is Arachibutyrophobia. This is the fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth.
Oh, doesn't that always happen though?
But the funny part is I know I've done this.
It's annoying, but it's not
a phobia, at least for us. However, I have to confess I've kind of done that to my dogs. I've stuck peanut butter to the roof of their mouth.
They look like they enjoy it though.
And they look like they enjoy it as they're trying to figure it out. So it is the fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth when the phenomena has happened to everyone at one point or another. People with Arachibutyrophobia are extremely afraid of it.
Round two.
So the severity varies from person to person.
Depends on how much, right?
I would assume so, yes. Some with this condition may be able to eat small amounts of peanut butter, but others will completely avoid eating peanut butter or anything similar in consistency. So unfortunately, all the nuts will have to suffer. So cashew butter, almond butter, and everything else. So it's a very rare phobia. But they
probably eat the nut itself, just not the butter.
It's not the butter, right. So it's a very rare phobia that can stem from a greater phobia of sticking something or fear of choking. So this is kind of looking at the psychological component of it. It may also stem from traumatic incident with peanut butter. I don't know how you could have a traumatic incident with peanut butter.
Oh my gosh, I don't know, but
I've never thought of
I'm
that.
sure it's possible.
And the choking can come on, but also they can be allergic to it. So there's definitely a lot of, I think, stems for it, but it's very specific to peanut butter.
We are peanut butter and nut lovers just in general. So
we do. I think this would be a very hard one, I think, for us to not, I mean, it's hard not to be engaged with having nuts, in general, and peanut butter. So, and of course, it comes in all kinds of great flavors. Savannah's original favorite chocolate was?
What do you mean?
What was your favorite
Oh,
chocolate?
Reese's.
Yeah, so imagine she would not have been able to have her Reese's at the beginning.
That was a long time ago.
Far distant land.
Yes.
So, yeah,
but thank goodness. Well, I didn't know there was a fear for many things, but that's one.
Yeah, so that's a one that I don't really quite, it's hard for me to imagine it that you would have this one, but I can imagine people having allergies to nuts. They would generally shy
I think
very
a
much
lot
away.
of these are probably tied to just bad experiences in general.
It seems like as a rule, phobias do develop from something like that, although I will tell you mine did not. So as we talk about it at the end, I could not actually pinpoint it. There are some theories I have in my mind, but I think everyone will sort of kind of come up with their own. So this next one is interesting too. So we've titled it as When Your Phone Doesn't Ring. So this is, I know these are meant to be a little more humorous as titles. And again, we're not making fun of somebody who's got this phobia, but it actually is pretty real. So this is Nomophobia. So this one actually we can pronounce fairly easily.
Thank goodness there's not many of those.
Yes. So this is the fear of being without your mobile phone, which
I'm pretty sure is actually very common these days.
I actually think it is. I mean, because we've certainly tied a lot of our lives to having our mobile phones, devices, checking things. So,
well, what was it the other day? We were heading out to do something and I accidentally forgot my phone at home. Not that it was a fear at all, but the amount of occasions that I wanted to reach
for it,
into my bag as a habit to quickly check something, I eventually looked at Omar and said, oh my gosh, did I really check my phone this much on occasion? And you just don't realize it because it's so normalized these days.
And plus they've made it obviously available for us to do everything. We can check the weather, check Instagram, check your email.
Or if you have like a random question that's popping into a conversation, you can just Google it.
So there's a convenience factor. I think for me, the phone is more of a business item than anything else. I mean, yes, there's personal things that come with it, but I don't have the plethora of other things that are typically on the phone. So it's like there's a relief not actually looking at the phone for me. So I know I don't experience this phobia at all, but I can understand why. So let's go through the description and we can see a little bit more of some of the people who are actually suffering from this. So nomophobia is the fear of being without your mobile phone. People with nomophobia experience excessive anxiety about not having their phone with them, their battery being low, or their phone being out of service. So I guess there's a lot more variety to this. Regardless of the circumstances, not being able to use their phone causes people with nomophobia to become panicked and experience extreme symptoms of anxiety.
So very serious.
But I will have to say, and this is only in half jest, when we see our government is actually looking and saying we need to maybe regulate, the idea of having phones and social media with a very young generation. Now, mind you, this is new to the United States, but Europe is so far ahead, in Australia. They've actually just banned, I think in Australia, any social media for anyone under 16.
The deadline for Australia's ambitious world-first social media ban is almost upon us. From midnight tonight, these 10 popular platforms will have to make sure under 16s don't have an account. And if they can't prove they've taken reasonable steps to do that, they could face fines of nearly $50 million.
Well, I think, honestly, I don't even know how we never had regulations.
Well, it's because I think we have to say that governments are very slow in reacting to regulating something.
You know what?
And
We should be doing a social media video for our audience just because it is a serious topic and it can be used for so much good, but unfortunately used for a lot of bad.
yes, and what I love, the reason I made the comment is because I think more recently we've seen Meta, the owner of
Mhm.
Instagram and Facebook, and probably many other things, have to testify to Congress about the fact that they're saying it's not addictive. And however, I would have to disagree. I think generally it's out there.
We should touch on that later on.
Yeah, I think so too. So this rare phobia oftentimes stems from a person having a cell phone addiction. So we can actually see that. People with the phobia may obsessively check their phone throughout the day and worry they will miss out on contact with loved ones. While nomophobia is generally classified as a rare phobia, cell phone addiction appears to be fairly common. So it's kind of like a combination of both. Recent research has shown that around half of both men and women have anxiety surrounding their cell phones. Further, one study found that 23% of male students were labeled as nomophobic, and almost 77 check their cell phones more than 35 times per day. A group has suggested that nomophobia should be included as a type of specific phobia. So, a group in Italy. So, I think we're exploring this. This is a technology driven phobia that would have been probably not thought about even 10, 15 years ago. But I think we have to be able to recognize that this is the part that frustrates me, I think, a little bit is we can recognize how social media has really tried to creep into our lives, right? I mean, they use notifications, they sort of hold
They
back
do try worm into being
they
able
worm
to
into being there
contact
that you want to be the fear of missing out, which I think is at least a bit of part of this, is tied very much to technology. But yet we try not to admit that that's there. However, we know it was built to do that exactly, right?
Mhm.
They're meant to keeping you on their platform. So unfortunately, this is real, and I know a lot of people have a struggle with it.
More so in today's day and age, unfortunately.
Yes. So our next one is titled Scary Numbers. So again, we tried to pick something a little more humorous, even though we realize these are serious things. So arithmophobia is a fear of numbers. Can you imagine?
I can actually.
So many people grow up dreading math class. Okay, I can understand the phobia of a math class, right? But people with arithmophobia have a genuine fear of numbers. People with this fear usually experience anxiety associated with doing math or dealing with numbers in general, which is going to be very hard in everyday life.
Wow, you're dealing with it on a
So
daily basis.
versus of actually seeing the number symbols. So it's not the seeing the symbols, it's dealing with the numbers. So it's what they represent. The fear of numbers is also sometimes referred to as numerophobia. Arithmophobia can significantly impair a person's life. It's difficult to do many tasks and occupations without dealing with numbers. I know I couldn't do it with my work.
No.
Numbers are a huge piece of everything. I mean, if you work, I'm trying to think of a place that doesn't have numbers.
So this doesn't apply to like putting gas in your car?
It would apply to putting gas in your car. You would be
Okay.
afraid of the numbers there. So you have some simple tasks like that. Going to the grocery store.
Yes,
How much you
exactly.
have to pay for your groceries.
Yeah, trying to calculate how much you have a month to.
Or if you sit down
spend.
as we were just at Bodie, having coffee earlier today, and we could sit there and say, I have 2 orders. There's number 2.
Can you imagine like having a complete anxiety attack when you see the total of something that you've racked up because of everything you've bought?
And the sad part is
extreme?
we go through that every time.
I know, unfortunately, with
And
inflation.
I'm sorry for everybody else out there who's facing inflation.
Yeah,
we do that. So Savannah and I have this little, I don't want to call it a game, but it's because it's not that funny.
We're trying to make light of an unfortunate
circumstance.
Situation.
It's the idea of like, how much are we spending on groceries this week? Let's all roll the dice and figure out what it's going to be.
Guess our numbers and see who's right.
Who's closer,
wrong.
But either way, we're both suffering.
We're all suffering.
So, for people out there, this is a tough one as a phobia, but can you imagine with everything else going on in our world? It's everywhere. It's in your mortgage payment. It's your gas bill. That's very disabling.
On a daily basis.
So I think in the future, trying to figure out how do you resolve this, it's a tough one. I don't even know where it stems from, honestly.
No idea.
And there's more to be found out. This one is interesting too. So we've titled this one Money Problems.
So it actually ties back into the one before.
It does tie a little bit into it. This is called Plutophobia. I'm not sure why. Okay, there must be something there with the names that we're missing.
Yeah,
But
it's interesting how people decide to pick names. I have no
I think
idea.
we in the future may want to try to figure out how do you get this name. I mean, some of them I get the Latin or the Greek roots for it. This one I'm not sure I get, but
Okay.
so many people probably wish they had more money. But Plutophobia is a fear of money or wealth.
Oh wow. So
This
the
is very different.
opposite?
It is the opposite of having too much money. People with Plutophobia may fear wealthy people or fear becoming wealthy themselves.
Wow, that's weird.
It's funny. It's like there are billionaires out there. I don't necessarily like them, but I'm not afraid of them. Can you imagine the news? We see
Wow,
this so
seriously, the
much.
fear of being wealthy? Wow.
So they generally dread money and having to deal with it, which again would be very debilitating if you think about everything that we do pretty much every day.
Hmm.
You couldn't go get gas, groceries.
So do you think people like that would avoid a job that paid well just because?
Well, funny part is, this is the next part of this. People with this fear may potentially sabotage their careers to avoid making more money or becoming wealthy. So it's that much of a fear.
Whack.
The fear of becoming wealthy may stem from the fear of responsibilities or pressures associated with it, or the fear of becoming a victim of a robbery. So this is an interesting
Okay, that's
one.
rational, but wow, that's
Well, I don't think this is rational. I think we're talking about the irrational here.
Being fearful that if you show your wealth, that unfortunately people will try to target you. I know that's rational, but I
Yeah.
think it's blown. I don't want to say out of proportion because it's very valid. It's just unusual for sure.
It's so unusual, and I think the way I've seen it in my work is I've seen segmentally a generation of people that don't like the idea. This is on a very basic, it's not the phobia piece, but on a very basic level, having a markup on their work. Like you pay them something, but you're billing them at a higher rate. Hence the quote unquote the cost of them as labor. So
they don't like that.
They do not like that. So if you're billing out somebody, like a company would bill out somebody at a certain rate, but that's not what they're being paid, right?
Okay.
I mean, so the company takes their overhead and their profit, and it's all built into a rate that you're billing somebody out to, and I've noticed this with even with somebody from my own family, there's like they're repulsed by the idea that there's a markup being put onto them. And it's not, I would say it's not a phobia, but I think it comes.
Bizarre.
Well, but it's the idea that that somebody is profiting on who they are.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that part. I'm just saying the fear of getting wealthy.
Yeah, that honestly, I think is
it's
very.
Like you get more. It's so normal for people to dream about what would I do if I get wealthy, but not the avoidance of being wealthy.
We have the entire lottery system based off of that.
Yes, Omar and he was joking actually. Just what was it this morning?
Yeah, it was this morning.
Well, you see, I got an itch in my foot, so we should pick up lottery tickets. Like, what on earth does an itch in your foot have anything to do with playing the lottery?
It has to do with us being superstitious as people in general. And no, I don't actually honestly believe that, but I just the idea sometimes to come up is to joke around and get something funny.
It's nice to dream.
It's nice to dream.
Not to some people.
No, but I mean this is a struggle because I don't think there's a society out there that would not be dealing with money. I mean, you go back a few hundred years, there's a barter system in place. I mean, and it still exists to some extent, right? But I think it'd be very difficult to function in almost any society without dealing with currency of some kind, anywhere in the world. I mean, frankly. So this one is an interesting one. I did title it again in jest. So I know I repeat myself there, but we wanted to get a smile out of the audience. This is called Terrifying Bubbles. So, Ablutophobia is the fear of bathing. Let that sink in.
I've actually heard so many people say they find it disgusting to bathe in, your own. Yeah, to like basically bathe in your own like sweat and dirt and stuff like that because it's lingering in the water.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could kind of agree with that.
That's the rationale, I think.
It's the rationale.
I don't know what other reason there could be.
I don't know. I mean, so to me, this one's an interesting one. There's a bit of an interesting history piece to it too. But let me read through what it is. So, Ablutophobia is the fear of bathing, washing, or cleaning oneself. So, this phobia often occurs in children and resolves with age, So I have to laugh.
Even in the shower? So it's
Well,
not just...
no, but I mean, think of it this way. So what's our number one challenge with Ryland when it comes to like bathing?
We can't get him in the bath.
No, that's not it.
Okay, I don't know what you're...
Wiping his face down. He can't stand that.
Yeah, but that's like a normal kid thing. I don't know where that
But this is what they're
from.
talking about. This phobia oftentimes occurs in children and resolves with age.
Okay.
So, I mean, so the idea of like, I don't want to wash my face. He has that. I don't know why he has that. There's absolutely no reason.
You know what's funny though? He doesn't like when things stick to his hands now.
No.
So he wants us to wipe it off.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So we attribute that to his age, but now that they mention it here, it's interesting. It does resolve itself with age, I think, over time.
Yes, our son is almost 2, for those of you who don't know.
So he's still a little one, but can be present in adults. Okay, so people with Ablutophobia often avoid bathing and showering, which can lead to unpleasant body odor and sometimes social isolation.
You don't say.
I don't say, yeah. I think that's true. However, their fear of bathing and anxiety they experience while bathing tends to be so extreme that these consequences pale in comparison. So they would rather trade that off than actually bathe.
Yeah, you can imagine they're not very social, because if you're a human being that stinks, people are not going to want to be around you. And just being in public places is going to be really hard, because it's not hard to tell where smell is coming from.
No.
So if you're in public,
yeah.
people can narrow that down.
So that's the social isolation part. So Ablutophobia may have resulted from a traumatic event involving water or a fear of getting wet. In some cases, the phobia is related to aquaphobia, which is the fear of water.
So you'd find that they maybe might wipe themselves down more than actually being underwater in general, or even wet wipes or sanitary wipes.
I'm going to say that would be part of it as well. But I mean, we'd have to obviously explore the extent to which somebody experiences it.
I'm sorry, that's a terrible one.
But that's a terrible one, and it's definitely going to be very socially isolating. I mean, in so many ways.
Without a doubt.
But I mean, the idea of not feeling that sense of feeling clean and feeling that you need to avoid that at all costs.
Oh yeah, there's been so many times where we do something during the day and just feeling clean makes all the difference in the world.
It's sort of like the end of the day, you wash the day off and you're able to finally relax. And these people don't get a chance to do that.
What's the number one best thing after getting off of the plane?
Is
washing that plane off. So that shower is heaven after something like that. Wow.
That's a tough one. All right. Our next one, also very interesting, is called figure eights.
Okay.
So this is Octophobia. It's the fear of the number 8.
I think I've heard this before.
Have
is
you?
there a reason behind it?
So Octophobia is a fear of the number 8. Interestingly, there are a few other known phobias to be specific numbers. So why 8 is so specific, I don't know. Except for the fear of numbers themselves. That's the one we discussed earlier, the Arithmophobia. Yes. And the fear of number 13 is another one. But number 13, I think, is because it's oftentimes classified as an unlucky number. So I could see that one a little bit differently for those who might be more superstitious. So people with Octophobia fear the symbol 8 as it appears written down, such as in addresses or advertisements. So in other words, if you had it on your address or an address you were going to, or you're seeing it in an article somewhere, or frankly,
paying something that's $8.
Yeah, $8 or something at the grocery store, they would have a fear of that number. Very interesting. So they can also fear objects representing a group of 8. So it's not just the number itself. This rare phobia, it's the idea.
A rule.
This rare phobia may come from its resemblance to the infinity sign. So that would be where you would
There's
see.
the understanding.
Yeah. They also come from a traumatic event involving the number 8, such as an accident that happened on the 8th of the month. Okay. So it would be interesting to see how that's tied to it.
I can tie that more than the infinity.
I think we do see that. I think people experience these traumas and they have an association to something, right? That's with the trauma.
That's like we were talking earlier. Most, I think, of these phobias are tied to an experience you've gone through.
I would agree for the most part. This one's very unusual. I mean, I think if I've been in a car accident, I mean, more than once, but
the dates never.
the date doesn't really stick with me. I mean, I think
Okay.
the incident does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and of course, something traumatic for anybody that experiences this, I mean, it's basically ingrained in your memories, and it does affect how you look at the
It's
world.
just very interesting on how every human being will look at an event differently. Some might focus on how they felt versus what they saw,
Yes.
like details of a number, a date, or I know a lot of people take dates to heart, like anniversaries, but something as simple as small things that have happened. Dates resemble something very big to some people.
Yeah, it's an association with something that, I mean, really has ingrained a memory in you.
Mm-hmm.
This one's an unusual one. I don't think I would have ever expected there'd be a phobia about either numbers or, frankly, a number. In this case, it's hard for me to. I can
We are
sympathize
being educated right
because
now.
I think because when we look at this, we realize without thinking about it how many times the number 8 shows up in different places.
We don't blink twice.
We don't blink twice about it. I mean,
No.
so this next one is called unseen. So this is optophobia. That's the fear of opening one's eyes. So optophobia is the fear of opening one's eyes. This fear can be extremely debilitating, as you can kind of imagine. It is hard for an individual to carry out daily activities without opening their eyes. People with optophobia
Go blindfolded.
What's that?
Do they go blindfolded?
I don't know, but they may prefer to stay indoors or in dimly lit areas. This phobia usually is associated with a generalized anxiety or disorder. Like many other rare phobias, this fear usually is a result of a traumatic incident. So this one throws me off because if you're, I mean, obviously if you have a disability by being blind, you're not able to see and you have to function in a world where you can't see and you use your other senses. But if you can imagine, the ability is there, but you will not use it because you're afraid to use it.
To be honest, I would have the fear of not being able to see rather than the fear of seeing.
I mean, you never know. There might be actually something like that as well.
I'm sure there is.
But when you talk about a phobia, it's not. I mean, I couldn't imagine a world without seeing, right? I mean, so I think most of us would feel that way. But it is not to say that it's not to say that it develops into a phobia if you don't.
No.
So
I can imagine people that have that fear of opening their eyes would probably either purposely blind themselves with a, what do you call it, like eye wrap or something, and then actually focus on the other senses to get by.
I don't think it necessarily is the case that they would substitute, because it seems like they would want to prefer to be in a place where their sight is not useful.
So being blindfolded is one.
That would be one, but it seems like for people like that, they will prefer to stay indoors in dimly lit areas.
Okay.
So they will not seek sunlight, which of course is another.
So it's also something to do with the amount of light coming into your eyes.
It is
scientifically from a standpoint.
But that's a very hard one to me to try to look at. I'm trying to imagine again this world that we live in where we don't have the ability to do that. Now, and again, this is not to say that people who actually are blind or are legally blind, they're not able to try to function the best that they can with the handicaps that come from that. But I think there's a resiliency I see with people like that. This is a fear-driven one, so it's very different.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this one's they gain extreme amount of sympathy, and there's a part of me that wants to see how can we help people that have this anxiety.
It's a daily challenge to try and see how they can overcome
it. So this one is an interesting one. It's called Flying Above. This is our title for it. So this is Globophobia. This is the fear of balloons.
Our son does not have that one.
No, most people don't. Okay. The level of fear varies from person to person and can range from avoiding being near balloons or avoiding places with balloons altogether. In some people, the fear is so great that even seeing a balloon on television triggers intense anxiety. This is a rare fear that can be especially hard for young children, as we can kind of imagine. as balloons are often present in children's birthday parties. Globophobia is usually brought on by a traumatic experience of the balloon as a child, such as a popping balloon and being frightened by the noise.
Mm-hmm.
It can also be linked to a fear of clowns, of course. That's a completely different one. That's a completely different one. I can imagine. I don't think I have a lot of interest in clowns in general, as the two are oftentimes found together. I would have never imagined this one.
The first thing that came to mind when you mentioned it was related to balloons is the sound. Because
I could see
like
that.
Ryland will grab a balloon, and if he's too aggressive with it, like my immediate thought is to jump in and say, don't do that because it's going to pop. And it's more frightful for a child.
Absolutely. They won't know where it comes from.
No, exactly. And of course, they're not going to expect it. So I can most definitely see a horrible experience like that with a child, not expecting that to affect them in the future.
Right. And I think this brings up an interesting point, because if you, this is for those parents out there, I think we are very conscientious of it. We'll never catch everything, but we're aware very much that they don't know what they don't know, right? So they're beginning their lives and they're not exposed to it. They don't have any idea. And so for them, everything's a new experience.
It's no different to leaping off of a chain,
and then falling.
You think you're going to be caught because, my gosh, you've never had a terrible fall before. So
right. And we have much more to come. So we're very conscientious of that. We're learning. But I think all parents kind of go through it. So again, very unusual, but it's interesting. So the next one is referred to as word power. This is going to be a monster to pronounce. So I'm going to give it a try.
Okay.
Hippopotomonstrosesquippedaliophobia.
Oh my word. All right, let me see if I can pronounce it.
Oh, you go ahead. So
Hippopotomonstrosesquippedaliophobia. All right, so I'm trying to make it as smooth as possible, so our audience
it did not come out from it.
Okay.
So this is the fear.
Is it related to a hippo?
No, not at all.
Oh, no. Okay.
It's the fear of long words.
Oh, you don't say.
I would say absolutely.
Really?
So it's
someone with that phobia is never going to want to pronounce that word.
Well, I mean, can you imagine that if you're trying to diagnose somebody who has this, and
I'm
this
sorry,
is what you're calling?
Yeah,
exactly.
And then it's like you're going to lose them.
You're going to lose them right away.
Okay.
So, ironically, it's also the longest word in the dictionary. I did not know that, but I could see why. So it's believed that this phobia of long words develops from being embarrassed by pronouncing long words incorrectly. Well, we're definitely embarrassed because we did not pronounce this right.
We're not embarrassed enough that we're off camera. So hi, everyone.
Yeah, it's like we'll manage to get through it. This may occur while reading aloud in front of a class as a child. The phobia can also be common with people with dyslexia. So I could see where if you have a hard time seeing letters, and then reading in the public would be very difficult.
Oh my gosh, that was my least favorite task as a child. I remember
read in public?
In primary school when we had a task of speeches or impromptu discussions.
Yeah.
Where we would be given a topic and within 10 minutes we'd have to talk about it. Oh my gosh.
This is like the perfect way to gain that experience so that you can be able to speak publicly.
Yes, but in that moment you feel like it's complete torture and you don't see the reason behind it. But as you get older, you really do understand why that is such a good tool to have underneath your belt.
Yeah, and I think you learn over a period of time that you're not going to pronounce everything correctly. And sometimes you just have to take a smile and just say, yeah, I'm going to laugh at myself for a moment. And I'm definitely going to laugh at myself at this one. No hippopotamus. There's nothing related to that. Even though I'm positive this has a Greek origin, I'd have to look it up to see what it would be. But my gosh, I don't have a fear of long words. I may not like long words in some things, but I certainly would endeavor to try to figure out how to pronounce it.
Do you know, I always learned this as a child. Do you know the longest word that exists?
Well, apparently this is it.
No.
Oh, what is it?
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
So for those of you who haven't seen The Sound of Music, that's where that comes from.
Yes.
And that took a while for us to get. I mean, because even my sister and I, when we grew up,
It's so catchy though that you
yes,
it's so hard to forget.
This is not catchy.
This is not catchy.
This is not a catchy
I
one.
like our version better.
I do like our version better,
Okay.
so we'll stick to it. I don't know how you solve this for somebody.
I have no idea.
So there was a very interesting movie for those of you that might be interested. I think it was called The King's Speech.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was King George of, I believe correctly, of England at the time when radio was first out there. And he had to prepare a speech. And so this was going to be broadcast. And I think he had a stutter. And so it was a movie kind of revolving around this whole massive event where you first had to do this level of public speaking as opposed
that would
to
be very good for people with the fear of public speaking.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, unfortunately or unfortunately, I've done so much of it, I don't think twice about it.
You're pretty good.
But I train people that work with me to get over this, the strangeness of it and it's through time and confidence that you're able to do some of it. However, the whole idea of mispronouncing a word, yeah, I mean, you're going to find an audience sometimes it's not all that nice.
I've been caught on this podcast mispronouncing quite a bit. So
no, but your pronunciation is actually adorable. So it's a bit different.
I don't think everyone thinks that. You might be a little bit biased, but
I might be just a tiny bit. But I do love Savannah's accent. So
thank you.
And she does come up with some interesting words. And it's funny because I think some of those that we've seen over a period of time, if you're not immersed in a culture that uses that word a lot, you could find yourself pronouncing it the way you're used to pronouncing something on kind of the other side of the world. So yeah. Next one over here, this is our second to last one, is called the Young Rule. So this is Ephebiphobia. Ephebiphobia.
Okay.
Everyone shares this one to some extent. It's the fear of adolescence, as in young people.
Yes, so they are unpredictable.
It's a fear of youth. People with this phobia may perceive teenagers as out of control or dangerous and believe they are rude, unpredictable, and do not follow rules. Which would be
I've actually come across quite a few people that have said, no, they're teenagers, don't even bother. What's that supposed to mean?
Right. So this fear is thought to be developed from the negative portrayal of teenagers in media. Shocker, media back again.
Mm-hmm.
People with this phobia are afraid of teenagers and will not want to be around them. They may also avoid going to a friend's house if they have teenagers, or avoid places where teenagers tend to hang out. So this is a phobia. It doesn't mean you don't like being around somebody that might very much like that. But I'm going to laugh a little bit at this one, not because of the phobia, right? Because the phobia is, again, a serious thing. But I remember when we visited Laguna Beach, there's a candy store down there that has like rare candies from all over the world. But I always remember, this is years and years ago, there was a sign over there that's like, oh gosh, that was a sign that just made me laugh. It said, "Stop. Your teenagers know everything now. This is the time to let them go. Let them go." The whole idea, because, this is part of, I guess, the ritual and call it the stage in your life, this rite of passage that happens to be this amalgamation of what it is to be a teen, your hormones and trying to figure out who you are, your own identity.
Thinking you know better.
Mm-hmm. And everything else. And you could see how that could be challenging for people who don't want that chaos. However, secret's out. Everyone goes through it.
Yes.
So we all have our moments.
So it's very easy, I think, basically like in high school, to feel like everything revolves around a certain event, your standing in school, and then you come out of it and think of what childish stuff was all of that.
Well, but these are some of the self-realization things.
Yes.
I do remember. I'll remember. This is like a specific. I don't call it an incident, as a stage, right? So for me. And I attribute this to my dad's resiliency as being a dad. So teenage boys, they sort of like turn on themselves, to a greater or lesser extent, because they're trying to deal with everything happening. They've got hormones. They don't know who they are. They're not a man, but they're not a boy. It's like, and I know I'm not changing obviously the way or negating how young women go through it. I just can't identify with that from my own perspective. But there was a stage where I was just angry. I was angry with the world.
No reason.
It was, and the reason is really you're going through your hormonal changes and everything else is around you. And it's about, are you accepted, not accepted? And your view of the world was really the outside world. And I think I know it's normal for teenagers to go through that.
So that's probably, it's the unpredictability of the teenager that's probably adding to this.
And you have all kinds of things happening. Your body's changing, your face is changing, it breaks out. I mean, there's so many things that are occurring at the same time. But my dad's consistency and resiliency in being steadfast as I was bouncing everywhere through that time. And he's the one that I'm going to credit that stood by me to pull me out of that. He literally, and I hated it at the time, but I mean, so grateful afterwards. He's the one who pulled me out of this, I'll call it a funk.
Yes.
Yeah. And he got me talking again and expressing how I was feeling, and I remember this so vividly because I can remember actually probably the conversation that we had. That was this moment, that was breakthrough. And why was it such a big breakthrough? It wasn't because, the next day I was just, out of my teenage phase. It wasn't. But I was able to talk about how I felt.
And communication and sharing how you feel makes such a big difference.
And it makes such a big difference. So I'm very sad for people who are not able to function around teenagers. And I think it is still a rite of passage.
Huge growing and learning years, I think, for any adult to look back and realize what it is you went through then and have a much greater and wider perspective on it at your current age.
And I think that level of understanding helps us laugh at the sign that they know everything, let them go. And you're not actually going to do that because they don't know.
No.
And they don't know that they don't know, but it will come later on.
Okay. What's our final one?
So here's our final one. This is going to be humorous, and you and I are going to laugh at it a little bit.
And stick to the end because we're going to share our personal ones.
We absolutely will. So this one is titled Beach Days. And no, it is not the fear of the beach. However, it is called Omphalophobia. It is the fear of belly buttons.
Okay.
Not that I would have ever expected this. So people with this phobia will often avoid seeing or touching belly buttons, even their own. They may even put a bandage over their belly button to avoid looking at it. They will sometimes avoid places where belly buttons might be exposed, like the beach. Like the beach.
Okay.
So we laugh because, at least with Rylan right now, we turn around and say, "Where's your belly button?"
And then he lifts up his shirts and he's
pointing where it is.
But he now even lifts his sister's clothes up and wants to see her belly button too.
Which is a natural curiosity for children.
Yeah, very cute.
But you can sort of imagine no crop tops for you.
Oh my gosh, no.
You don't want to be around people who actually wear crop tops or beaches or...
How on earth does that develop? Does it say?
It does not say. But again, it's like you look at this and you realize that sometimes there are traumatic events. However, I am hard-pressed to say, is there a traumatic event that would cause you to feel this fear of belly buttons? I don't know what it is. Are you dealing with your fear of phones?
No. I'm very curious to see what triggers a fear of a belly button. Okay, so developing the best or most aesthetically pleasing belly... Okay, sorry. Wrong response. Maybe I should read before.
This is what happens when you Google something on the fly.
Oh, sorry, everyone. But you can continue while I find this.
So the challenge for this, obviously, is if you live in a cold climate, it's all good. Just put that Band-Aid on. You can just wear sweaters all the time. However...
Can you imagine that they wouldn't want to see their partner?
Well, that's true. They would not want to see their partner. And they would have a hard time with their children.
That's a tough one because, everyone knows where belly buttons come from, right?
Yes. Well, actually...
through the umbilical cord of right? being... Yes, in the womb.
But you can imagine you would feel that and know this while the child is growing in you. That would be part of it.
Oh, that would be a tough one if it's a female.
And then afterwards, as your child is born... there is, for those of you who have not had children and parenting is discussed in a very generic fashion, there is a lot that comes into that transition to that cute little belly button that sits on your baby.
So here we have it.
All right, let's see it.
Often develops through traumatic experiences, learned behaviors, or intense disgust, leading to an irrational fear of touching, looking at, or thinking about navels in general.
I still don't know what a traumatic experience could be. That's
It can
the
stem
challenge.
from the past trauma, a fear of infection, or discomfort with bodily voids. So have you, a very common one is like the deep ocean,
Yes.
like the open void beneath you. If you are in an open ocean and you look down and you see nothing.
Yeah, but I think that might be.
A song that comes to mind is
Are you trying to do Jaws?
No, I didn't go da 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 dum.
Okay, sorry, I'm trying to pick up on what you're doing.
No. Okay, so what's your fear? Your phobia.
Well, I've been talking this entire time. Wouldn't you want to go first?
Okay, sure. I'll go first. But I will say, as a child, I had the fear of missing out.
Well,
like
that
big time. But I think that's normal. We outgrow it.
I think that's normal and you do outgrow it, yes.
But if we're looking at the current Savannah that is in front of everyone today.
And that is who we're looking at.
Yes. Truthfully, I'm going to pronounce it. So it's Atychiphobia. Atychiphobia. I do have a fear of failure. So this is related to, I get so inspired to start something, but the fear of not getting it right the first time or completely failing at it prevents me from doing it altogether. And this is something that I've struggled with all through school. I prepare a great speech, but then my fear of the failure will make me stutter during my speech. I mean, this is a huge one I'm still currently overcoming. And it's the same as a mom. I have a fear of, letting my kids down, failing my kids. So this is something anyone who has a fear, you can overcome it, but it's going to take time. And hopefully one day I can look back and say, you know what, I don't have this fear anymore. And the only way you overcome it is by doing it anyway. And realizing you're going to fall, but you're going to eventually come out on the other end. Okay.
Well, that is a big one. And,
yes.
and I would say a lot of people do have that. And it does come from, I would say if you look back on it, you would probably trace it back to something that happened to you a long time ago. Would you agree with that?
Yes, a past experience, for sure.
Experience, yeah.
What about yours?
So I was clever enough to look it up and then clever enough to forget it, the title of it, but I will tell you what it is.
Okay.
I think Savannah
I will then look it up for you.
So let's have you look it up so we can give the proper name for it, and then I'll explain.
All right. It is called Basophobia.
Basophobia. So, and again, I don't think of it that way, but really it's the fear of falling. So I know that's not necessarily a too unusual one. And just to clarify, because it took me a long time to really figure this out, it's not a fear of heights.
So Omar, although you won't want to be on a Ferris wheel, because
that's a completely different thing. That's a Pherosophobia that I have. Now I'll tell you why I don't want to be on a Ferris wheel. That's a different story.
But it's a fear of falling once you're up there.
No, it actually isn't.
Oh, okay.
So I'll go on a small tangent for our audience. My first experience with the Ferris wheel was I did something that I shouldn't have done, which I had a nice big burger before. And so essentially that spinning motion made me want to throw up.
Okay, so it's an event related to it.
It was an event related to it. I'm not a fan of roller coaster rides or anything else.
I just go left to deal with that and the kids.
Yes, but we already knew this. We've explained this to you, and we knew that it would be your role. I will be holding the bags and everything else while the children get onto roller coasters with you.
Okay.
But my sister, on the other hand, oh my gosh, she was fearless when it comes to these things.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you that have ever been in some amusement parks where they put you in the spinner that looks like a dryer, and then they drop the bottom out and you're stuck to the side because they're spinning you around so fast.
So many of these I think have been banned though.
Yeah, I think this one I would want to ban anyway, just for my own personal reasons. But regardless of that, my sister would love to do that, and she'd have me be up there watching her spin around in this dryer thing.
But what about your fear of falling?
So this took me a long time to figure out, and I do not have a traumatic event. So I can't turn around and say, look, I had this moment where I almost fell off this cliff or whatever it would be. And certainly not the Ferris wheel. That's just a different dislike of it. But I have noticed it. I will go, for example, hiking in the mountains. No problem whatsoever.
Yes, like we went to cross the bridge from one mountain to the other in South Africa.
Yes.
At a reserve.
Right. And that doesn't bother me to be up high to look at something and even having these beautiful views and vistas. And I'm so happy that I don't have that fear of heights, because otherwise you'd miss out on some of these very beautiful things. But it's literally like sitting on the edge of something, right? So if I were to go climb a mountain somewhere and look at the view, I would be incredibly appreciative, even though I'm very high off the ground. But the idea that I'm going to go to that edge and look over.
So skydiving is the absolute epitome
are you
of
kidding me?
exactly
Yes.
what you're talking about.
You want to go ahead and throw me out of an airplane. There's a part of me that probably would just die inside, right? Because that is a huge phobia for me.
Okay.
But I can't trace it honestly to an experience that I've had that has said, I've had this where I actually did fall and I hurt myself, even as a child. So there's a theory that I have in my own mind about this, and this ties into something we'll have in an upcoming episode. It's the idea of past lives and how they come into your present.
So subconsciously
but
you
there
have
is
a memory tied to it.
I do, and it's there, and it's alive and well, and I wish it were not there, because it does factor into some of the decisions I will make in terms of going somewhere. And so I think I'm losing out on certain experiences that.
Well, don't worry, we're not going to be skydiving. I'm not interested, so if you're worried about that.
I was not worried about it.
Okay,
and
that's good.
It's a good thing that I'm glad we cleared the air on that. But these are real, and I could tell you even from my experience, even though I may not be able to identify with some of these very unusual examples of phobias.
It's nice to be educated on it, though. It really does remind us to have a level of sympathy and understanding for others.
Definitely, because we all have, I think, potentially our own phobias that
no matter how unusual.
No matter how unusual. And I want to also throw this out here a lot, is we spend a lot of time creating labels for things. And sometimes those labels can be, I think, debilitating, and they lead into other things.
Yeah, we don't need a label.
I think people should be careful about labeling themselves here, whatever they have. So if you do have a fear of a thing in particular, as Savannah has mentioned, you can work with yourself and develop a way to overcome that. And I'm not saying that overcoming the fear of falling for me is throwing myself out of a plane, but making it as part of your life that's not a debilitating part of your life. I think that's the important part. I'm never going to gravitate to jumping out of an airplane.
No, but it's, as you said, it's not labeling something more than it is understanding how you feel. Because labeling something, like everyone does these days, if you're part of a clique or you're part of a religion or society, you name it, it's like you always want to label it. I think it's a natural thing we do these days. But for you to turn around and say, you know what, the biggest thing is me understanding how I feel inside about something. And then you, in your own way and in a comfortable way, finding out how to overcome it. And trust me, my fear of failure has been there for as long as I can remember. Am I going to overcome it in a day, a week, a year? No. It's going to be a very long journey for me, and it is for all of us, no matter what we're dealing with. So this does tie into, life happens, so we're all trying to figure it out, and it's back to our little mojo that we say over here. Still trying to figure out life, aren't we all? So
I think with that in mind, we sort of treasure the fact that you're here, you're listening to us and participating. Obviously, if you enjoy the content, we would encourage you to subscribe and like this video. But we also would encourage you to take those steps for yourself and say, take the leap, that little leap, not the big leap off the plane, and figure out that you are always able to be your best hero and best version of yourself.
And you are always welcome here at the Munch Corner podcast. Until next time.
Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.